We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. You're listening to this on Sunday. We're recording it Friday night, and we had an interesting run of guests. We had Southside Mike, Ed yesterday, and now we have Jace today, our friend from Texas, San Antonio, Texas. Welcome, Jace. It's always good to talk to you. We talk a lot, so we kind of know where both our heads are at.
I'm sorry, you had to get me. I mean, you got two great guests and you get me next. So, I mean, it's like, do what I can. Thanks for having me,
Every,
Mike. It's always a pleasure.
everybody does a great job. It's just different for each and everybody. Uh, Ed's good at certain things. Southside Mike, pretty much he's good with me for bullshitting and some insightful stuff now and again.
Yeah, I heard some
Um,
nicknames you had. I kind of was like, oh, I didn't know that was your nickname when you were kind of growing up. And that's
yeah.
always good to have a friend from your
Well,
childhood.
it's nice that he took the time to embarrass me, but I like the guy, so I didn't go after him. But yeah, when you're in junior high school, you get a lot of names.
Well,
Everybody had a
I,
nickname.
I wouldn't be good to repeat on in front of the ladies listening. So, guys will be.
Probably not. When I was working in my like 20s or 30s, I worked in a Department of Transportation traffic management center. I was pretty much the only school district employee, and everybody was else state employees. And we had a lot of older people that worked in this room that I worked in, the control room. And I was kind of the younger, smart ass guy, hard to believe. And I would make up nicknames for everybody. You'd have the old guys, and there was this one guy that was just mentally off. He was just weird. There was something weird about him, and I called him Coma because he seemed like he was in a coma most of the time. Now that's bad enough that people know that I called him Coma, but this guy ran into trouble one day. I mean, big trouble. He did something really weird, and they called in the administration and HR and stuff, and they wanted to talk to people who work with him to get some insight of how weird he is. I sit down. First question they asked me. So, Mike, is it true you call this guy Coma? I go,
They
you
thought
motherfuckers.
it.
Well, yeah, but I'm just kind of a funny guy. I give everybody names. Well, was there a reason for it? Not other than he seemed like he was in a coma most of the time. So I'm used to the nicknames. Um, you got some stuff going down in Texas. We like to catch up with Texas because it's such a big state. It's a red state. It's a beautiful state, but it's run by a bunch of assholes. So tell us what's going on down in Texas.
Well, the Tallarico and the Crockett race is going on, and talked about him last week. But Colin Allred's brewing more accusations about him. I mean, he's doing exactly what the Republicans want him to do, and it's like he's just say, well, he said other stuff. I didn't really pay attention to him, but he kept talking about it. He could. I mean, if he wasn't, seems like he's a little bit bitter, and he may have been called, what he was called. And I don't know if Tallarico did it or not. Tallarico denies it, but I mean, as a candidate, he was very average. I mean, I had problems with him when he was running. I mean, I still voted for him because the alternative was Ted Cruz. But I mean, actually did worse than what Beto did. So, I mean, he didn't really endorse Kamala till the very end and just bullshit like that. And I'm tough on Biden and, just bullshit about that. And he's still talking. And I haven't heard Jasmine say too much about it. I just heard, there's a little division, but it's politics. So, I mean, it's political season. But I don't know. I think Cornyn may be cooked
Think
because
so, really?
Turning Point just came out and endorsed, and you know how great the endorsement that is for Paxton.
Yeah,
They came out,
lunatics
yeah, I
galore.
guess that halftime show wasn't bruising enough, so they're going to endorse Paxton. So Tallarico and Crockett are running. The early voting starts Tuesday on the primaries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was I was telling you that I might go vote for the Republican primary. I just can't do it, Mike. I just, I
I
told you a
know
long
it's
time
tough.
ago. I told you a long time ago that I'd never vote Republican again, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I got to vote for one of them. I got to vote for in the Democratic primary. I voted too many times for Republicans, and I just, I can't do it. And I just knowing the Republicans, my extra vote would probably say, "See, more people voted in the Republican primary. You Democrat
Yeah.
did." Right now, what Trump's trying to do, he's trying to scare people with saying, "Well, if they don't pass the SAFE Act, then we're going to come out here and do this." So, and guess who voted for the SAFE Act in the House? Henry Cuellar. I
Yeah,
think
no
he's the
doubt.
only Democrat that did. And when I go in to vote, I will leave his name blank. I won't vote for him. And also, it's been interesting too, is Tony Gonzalez, which is my representative. He's like Ted Cruz. He's like Chip Roy. Chip Roy is a district over, but Tony Cruz is in mine. Not Tony Cruz, Tony Gonzalez. He got in a little trouble not too long ago. And he seemed very anti kind of MAGA because the guy that was running against him a couple years ago was like kind of this crackpot that even may have been too crazy for Trump. Well, I don't know the guy's name, but he's running again, evidently Tony Gonzalez. But Tony Gonzalez is living up to the MAGA name. He got a little bit of trouble, or not. I don't know if he was a little bit of trouble. I'm not saying he did anything, but he had a campaign aide that he was supposedly, who I guess committed suicide.
Wow.
And I guess they were saying that he was involved with her. I don't know. We don't know about it is, but all of a sudden, Trump's endorsing him, and because that other guy was saying MAGA stuff, it's like, well, you can't do that because Trump endorses Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez wasn't always like that. He tried to be kind of like Will Hurd before him, try to be a sensible Republican, but he's done it. He's gone to the dark side. There's no, I wouldn't vote for him. So I guess he realizes it's MAGA or not, but he's running, and I don't really know who his it is, but I just Jasmine Crockett and Tyler Rico's been kind of the big race, and then you come to governor, and Gina Hinojosa is running against Greg Abbott, and she's one of many Democrats running against him. And there was some Houston million billionaire, I guess, is endorsing her now, but she polled within like 3 points of Abbott.
Oh, really?
So she's like the one, and I'm seeing some of the papers and papers online. Papers sound like a freaking, old man. But the online are endorsing her. But so she's on there too. Within 3 points to a sitting governor, that's pretty good. But also saw something that's very disheartening. The Teamsters usually vote Democratic and endorse Democratic. They're voting for Abbott. So
Wow.
it's just, I don't get it. You know, we need new leadership, but she's got the young vote. And if the young votes show up for her, like the minority vote shows up for Crockett, they'll win these motherfuckers. Abbott doesn't have the young vote. He's trying to turn Houston blue, so to speak, which is a big, not going to happen. But I don't know what Trump's got. He says he's going to do with this, and it may not work in blue states. But I'm just curious what this stuff, like he said today, if the SAVE Act doesn't pass, because the Republicans, somebody has said that the Republicans are very interested in scrubbing the Texas voter the rolls. So if you're in Texas or a red state, I would suggest you make sure you're registered to vote because you could not be. So I checked mine the
Well,
other day, but I don't know.
well,
I don't know how they're going to do that because there's no party affiliation in Texas. So I don't know how they're going to take off Democrats and Republicans, I guess.
well, the thing about it is Donald Trump said this. He said, well, if Congress doesn't pass the SAVE Act, then I'm just going to institute voter. Um,
Is that good order?
that's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work.
It's got to be a law. The states control the elections. And he said, I don't care if Congress doesn't do it. Well, motherfucker, you better figure out how laws are made. They aren't made by presidents, they're made by Congress. it's just another one of those things where he says some shit just to try to intimidate, and he can't pull it off. It'll be another thing where he fucking fails, and it'll be stupid. You mentioned Colin Allred, and I'm interested by him. You know, he ran against Ted Cruz as a set for the Senate seat. He couldn't beat Ted Cruz, and he is kind of a he's kind of a Democratic centrist, maybe even leans a little right. You know, he's playing the game, but he's not really a Democrat in true form.
You
He ran
know,
for the Senate. He lost, but he was a member of the House for a while. He lost to Ted Cruz, and now he's running again for Congress again, as I
he's,
understand it.
I think he's running for Congress up north, but I think he's running for a state seat. I'm not really too sure. I don't think he's running
Oh,
for a
is
nation.
he?
I haven't really paid attention until he dropped out because I was happy he dropped out because I didn't want a three-way tie. But yeah, he's from Dallas, so he's not. I don't know if it's really. I don't know if it's national or whatever because I mean I've heard more from him. I've heard more from him talking about this stuff where he was slighted than he did when he was running as against Ted
Yeah.
Cruz. He's going after Tallarico more than he did ever did Ted Cruz. So I mean, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
I mean it's all over. Texas Democrat feud grows, but it's like he's running for okay. He's running for Congress to fight Texans. So I don't know what he's doing.
Uh,
On Aldred for Texas.
well, yeah, he was running for Senate again, and then he dropped out of the race to run for Congress in the 33rd congressional district.
Okay.
So he basically backed off the Senate because he knew he was going to get his ass kicked again.
Go
I
back
don't
to
know what he hopes to accomplish by going after Tallarico. I don't know if he presumes Tallarico is going to win the primary there, but Tallarico's a hard guy to make look bad because he does an excellent job of making himself look good. He's smart, he's articulate. He doesn't seem like a guy that's got anything dirty about him. So that may be a hard sell for Colin Allred. And for the life of me, I don't know what he hopes to gain by that.
Well, I've seen like in our last episode, I saw some comments on there about people don't really like Tallarico because he's religious. Not all religious people are bad. I mean, you're talking to somebody. I mean, you're talking to somebody that isn't exactly the biggest fan of the clergy, so to speak. But I mean, he has his beliefs, but he's not trying to push them on me. He's entitled to
Yeah.
believe what he wants to believe. Like I'm entitled to like not believe in anything. So I mean, before we, I would caution, before you just, throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, you do a little more research on him. I mean, you can be religious. I mean, hell, Biden was very religious. Obama was very
Yeah.
religious. I mean, I have no problem with them. But I tell you one thing, Trump's about as Christian as I am.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm not, defending him or nothing, but I mean, it's like these people that believe Trump's a man of God. I mean, that oceanfront property in Arizona is still for sale.
Yeah.
Jesus
No shit.
Christ. But yeah, I think Allred is a little jealous. I think he's a little miffed. I don't know who he's miffed at because Jasmine Crockett, because Allred was, because maybe Tallarico, because Tallarico was kind of in it before Allred, Jackson came in. So he may, and the way I think is that that Allred is taking the easy way out. He's going after the, I mean, he's not going to attack Crockett because a lot of his constituents are probably voting for Crockett. I mean, if she wins, it's going to be because of the minority vote,
Yeah.
and it's going to be because they show up. I mean, and I think, it's just exactly what the Democrats run into. They run into stupid shit like this where they take the bait of a Republican and now it's all over. I mean, and I'm not saying I vote for either one of them. I mean, I got my idea who I'm going to vote for in the primary, but I don't, but I'll vote for either one of them. Like I said, I'll vote for ham sandwich before I vote for Paxton. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping Paxton wins. The one time I want Paxton to win, I hope he wins because I think he's too toxic for Texas. And I think
Well,
that
for,
he's on the bill. I think that's going to bring out the voters. I think it'll be like kind of like Trump was in 2020 where we can't do this.
yeah. Well, Colin Allred should focus on his own election and not worry about the Senate election because he clearly dropped out of that because he didn't have a chance. Um, are there any polls out right now or any predictions going on between Cornyn and Ken Paxton? Because I've heard
Pax-
some weird things about it.
Paxton's ahead of Cornyn.
Really?
It's weird. I think we talked about it last time. Like Cornyn is behind Paxton, but Cornyn is ahead of the other two. Like Cornyn can't beat Paxton, but Paxton would. I mean, it's weird. Like Paxton's ahead in one thing and the other. I think it's really good because there was a poll that went through and there's like still like 22 people that are undecided. There's three candidates running. And I don't think either anybody's gotten Trump's endorsement yet. Because down here that actually still means something, we're kind of
Yeah, I
behind.
suppose.
And there's like still 22% that are undecided. That tells me that they're probably independents or they're tired of it because they haven't, by now you should fucking know who you're gonna. I mean, I know who I'm gonna vote for in the primary. You should fucking know. And
Yeah,
you go in there and do it. So that doesn't spell good for. I don't think that spells good for Cornyn at all. I think Cornyn's dead man walking on his political career here, and I think it would be great if he loses that primary and has to serve the rest of his term knowing that he's a lame duck. So I'm hoping Paxton wins this, and I'm just hoping because like I said, I think he's too toxic for even Texas. I think he'll bring out the voters because he's going after some doctor. What was that horse drug that they took for in what's I never could get the name right.
ivermectin.
Ivermectin. But did you hear about the guy that did Dilbert? That guy that he died, he had that
Yeah,
cancer and everything. He took that to treat cancer. He didn't get the chemo and all that stuff that the doctors recommended. Well, there's a doctor down here that I guess got either disbarred, not disbarred, got something. She got punished somehow by the Texas Board of Doctors, which, we still have doctors down here, surprisingly.
yeah,
Since defending her. Oh, she has a right to, her opinion. And these are freaking medical doctors that are saying she's crazy. I mean, you always have, one stale Fruit Loop in the bunch. You know what I'm saying? You always have that
yeah, yeah,
one that one wheel on the cart that shakes. You always have that crazy one in there. And I guess a lot of people treated themselves with that. A lot of people died of COVID. And that guy from Dilbert died of cancer because he didn't get treated soon enough. So Paxton thinks that this Texas board, he's going against them, which a lot of them probably vote in his favor, like with the abortion thing, I would think. But that's just too much because I think he's going for that MAGA crowd that, I mean, I guess he'll be snorting cocaine off toilet seats next. Or I mean, I don't know, man. People talked about Joe Biden out of fucking touch. Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, this is almost like watching an episode of one of those shows that they put on like Comedy Central, like to where, it's like Veep or something. It's like where they're so fucking out of touch
yeah.
and
It's pretty ridiculous.
hiding everything behind us. They don't show it, but we're fucking seeing it in real time.
How's it looking with Jasmine Crockett and Tellerico? Where are they standing? Who's winning there?
They're neck and neck. There'll be a
Really?
poll coming out where she's 7 ahead. There'll come up a poll where he's a couple ahead. So, I mean, I think, I think it's pretty much up in the air. I don't really know. I mean, I know who I can think can win, but then again, it's Texas, and and I think either one of them is going to need, they're going to need more voters turn out than before. I mean, it's not like, I mean, I read something that, I mean, you've had these races to where, they went for Trump overwhelmingly, but now they're winning there. So nobody, I see the Republicans really freaking out. You called it. The Republicans are really freaking out about Jasmine Crockett. They're trying to diminish her or whatever. They have a real firecracker with her, and I mean that in every respectable way. I mean, you see her, what she was doing with Bondi this week. I mean,
Yeah,
she's that person that we need in the Senate representing Texas. And I'm optimistic, but they're both women, Gina Hinojosa and her. So it's kind of like that whole, do we need another white male to do the win? I mean, it's 2028 or 2026, excuse me, but it's still Texas. So it's this is how it is. I trust the candidates. I don't trust the voters.
Yeah. Well, at least you'll be able to find out which way you can go in the primary before you hit the general election. You'll
Yeah.
you'll see if people are afraid of the black woman or they're afraid of the white religious kid because he's young. That may be a factor working against him too. Um,
But I've heard Democrats cut down his religion, and I don't think that's right. As somebody who's, a humanist, heathen, whatever you call it, I'd vote for the guy to give the guy a chance because he's not running on religion. He's not running like Cornyn is, that he's going against Sharia law that doesn't exist. That everything they don't have the border to go after anymore because Trump solved that. They don't have the border to go after, so they're going to the old thing about Muslims and stuff. And I mean it's pretty much it. I mean, when I think Muslim, I think more than just a religion. I think about a race of people.
yeah,
And I mean,
yeah,
it's like anything to where there's good people and there's bad people, and to just blanket that thing. I mean, it's like Obama said. They sit there, they clench their guns and their Bible. I mean, that's what they do here, and that's what the Republicans are going back to down here. And I mean, it's just some of the shit they say, and it's just that, it's like that's not true. You know what I mean? They say this shit's not true. And I had somebody tell me about all the shit going down in Minnesota. I go, "Have you been there lately?" He goes, "No." It's like, "Well, I got a friend of mine up there, and he's telling me that shit ain't happening." And it's just, it's happening. It's because ICE is instigating it.
yeah,
He backed down on that because, they get these talking points. I know because I used to drink the Kool-Aid from Hannity. They get the talking point. Now you just don't have Rush Limbaugh. You don't have just Hannity or Glenn Beck. You got like all these people out there, and it's like one of them takes something and they hide. And it's like, it's just like the Bondi trial, the Bondi thing that was going on this week. Fox News barely covered it. They
yeah.
wanted they barely covered it.
Which tells you that she did a bad job because if she did a good job, they do nothing but cover it. I want to talk about one other thing in Texas before we get to the other stuff, because this was a weird one. It's where they shut down the airspace over El Paso. Um, and there was all kinds of stories about cartel drones and stuff like that. None of that was true. It was basically yet another screw up by the Trump administration. The Defense Department wanted to test out lasers and shoot down a balloon or something. They were going to shut it down for 10 days. And then the FAA comes in and go, wait, what the fuck are you doing? These two departments can't even coordinate, can't even work anything out. What did you hear about what went down in El
I didn't
Paso?
I didn't hear about it until like last minute. Oh, it's usually when a competent administration where they announce stuff, they just don't do it. And I heard what Crockett said that it just when they say lasers, it reminds me of what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, like
Yeah,
Jewish lasers. It also
yeah,
reminds me of it always reminds me of Austin Powers when Dr. Evil. I don't know if you've seen that movie. When
mm-hmm.
it's like Trump. It's like Dr. Evil Trump is like, can I get some freaking lasers on the Dolphins? Like this. I mean, it's just madness. And it's like and you're right. But the thing before is that they were, when something would happen, they would like cut down something or do something that was against, like, say, Biden, when Biden was doing something. But now it's their own administration that they're running into each other.
Well,
They're
they
like,
can't get along, and
yeah,
they're all pushing for power, and now they're getting mad at one another.
I still don't know what it was because I don't believe, I was told inflation was cooling. I don't believe that. You can't believe anything that's coming out of this department or this administration. They can tell you it's one thing, but they sure backed off pretty quick. That's the only thing I got out of it. It's like, oh, it was going to be down for 10 days and they brought it back up right away. So somebody must have pissed on somebody.
Well, they ended up looking stupid, so they tried to back off of it and calm down because they were doing it to themselves. You were talking about not being able to believe anything. We heard that inflation is coming down a little bit, just a little bit. And they also told us that the jobs created last month were 130,000 jobs. Now, that would have been low for Joe Biden, but that is pretty big for Donald, Donald Trump's administration. But here's my problem with it and why I question it. We know, according to them, that 130,000 jobs were alleged to be created. But what we also know for a fact is that in January, we had the largest amount of layoffs since 2009. How the fuck do you get 130,000 new jobs when triple that fucking went away because they got laid off?
Well, the thing about it too is that it's not just the federal government that they're laying off. When they cancel those contracts, it's the contractor workers in construction too.
Well, yeah.
When they do the Doge thing, I mean, it canceled contracts, and when you and they try to, they throw out the AI thing, and then they said something about one of the guys was saying something about like, well, they're all illegals. Like every job Joe Biden ever created was illegal. That's what they were pretty much saying. I mean,
Brilliant.
it's Mike. I mean, it's just, and there's people believe it. I mean, there's people that you have people out there that you watch Shark Tank and you see Kevin O'Leary is supposed to be this smart guy, Mr. Wonderful or whatever.
He's an idiot.
Some of the shit he says is like, how in the fuck are you rich?
Yeah.
It's like, when I see Mark Cuban's very knowledgeable. He knows the stuff. He ain't out there saying stupid shit like that. I mean, but you have these people that they've got to be getting something kickbacks on the side and to defend this shit because it's like, and I think people are seeing it now too that people prefer Biden over Trump, and that's got to be killing him
Well,
because
he's going
and
to act like he doesn't hear it, but he's hearing it.
he hears it. There's ketchup everywhere at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
He hears it because they keep bringing it up, and he's gonna keep hearing it because he's got no way out of this. And it's what we were saying for a long time is that Joe Biden, things were getting better under him. He had a lot of stuff to do. Was it perfect? No, nothing's fucking perfect. But you had a lot of the people that aren't MAGA that went in for him, like the Joe Rogans, that convinced a lot. I mean, people can laugh at Joe Rogan all they want, but he has a lot of influence. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got a lot of people to vote for Trump, but those people aren't MAGA. Those people, I mean, what MAGA is an old Gen X, not say rational boomer, Gen X boomer generation that we've kind of had our time in the sun. I'd like a few more
Yeah.
days in the sun myself, but they, the young ones, they can't buy a house. They can't get out of their fucking college loans because I mean, it's like they're gonna. I mean, it's like they're when you look at the college loans and what they were trying to forgive, you look at what they're doing now. They're almost like predatory lenders. Like
Well, they are predatory
yeah, they
lenders.
are predatory lenders. And the one thing bad that the Republicans, I don't know if the Republicans change this in the bankruptcy thing is you can't bankrupt. You can bankrupt everything, medical debt, everything, but you cannot bankrupt student loans. So you have all these houses being bought up by these big banks, but these, young people want to buy a house with a family, they can't afford it. It's cheaper. I mean, it's more expensive to have an apartment than is a house. I wouldn't mind living in an apartment in a nice community, but it's too. I mean, my townhome is a lot cheaper. It makes no sense. But those kids, and I say kids, they can't get into that. But there was somebody running for president that said that was going to give you kind of a break. But no, you trusted Orange Man. Here we are.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Um, they're setting up the economy to fail because you're going to have millennials and Gen Zs that will be so saddled with debt, making virtually no money coming out of college, that nobody will be able to buy anything: houses, cars, travel,
It's like
discretionary money of any kind. They're going to be hard pressed just to put enough money to put a roof over their heads, clothes on their back, and food in their stomachs. And they aren't going to have extra money to buy things. Um, and that's going to affect the economy quite a bit.
Well, also they can't afford health care. I mean,
Right.
the affordable health care plan. There was, I mean, and somebody was telling me today that even Obama said that during Trump's first term, just rename the fucking thing Trump Care. I don't care. But the Democrats, they get a lot of blame for this too, because there's a lot of stuff, they didn't, I mean, they didn't codify, Roe v. Wade when they had a chance. They had the chance, right? They didn't have didn't they?
Oh, they had opportunities. Yeah, they could have, but they were just lazy.
But there's a lot of shit that he's exposing that, you know, Pam Bondi said something about, well, where was Merrick Garland? Did you ask him those questions? And she had a fucking point. She had a fucking point on that. I mean, he's not there now, and I know that girl was in trial or whatever, but there's a lot of shit he could have done. And Democrats, sit on their asses a lot. And can you imagine if Biden was half as vindictive as Trump was? Trump would be in prison right now.
Oh, no question.
But
From day one. That's what he
because
should have done. He should have came out and said, Trump
yeah,
in prison day one.
yeah, and that was Biden's one of his biggest mistakes was, Merrick Garland, but also, realizing things change, and that's why you need an AOC. You need a Jasmine Crockett up there. That's why you need it. And it looks like Minnesota is like Klobuchar is pretty well ahead. I was looking at some of the polls there. It's like, Mike,
Oh,
I
yeah.
hate the cold weather, but god dang, Minnesota's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, Amy's going to win the governor's job. No fucking problem. It won't even be a problem. And I'm thinking, Amy's about my age. She's about 65. My wife actually didn't hang out with her, but she had a friend that was also a friend of Amy. So they met a couple of times and always liked Amy. She likes Amy now.
Yeah.
But Amy went through some cancer stuff. We don't really know where she's at with that. I think she's okay. She's 65 years old. She's probably tired of the rat race of Washington, D.C. She can come back, be the governor of the state of Minnesota, and probably do a great job. And there is no Republican that's going to even come close to her.
What, the My Pillow guy, dude? He don't have a chance. I mean, he's got those charts, dude, ready.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do well. But the other plus about her running for the governorship, she's still got about 4 years or so, three, four, no, till 28. Um,
Here's
or maybe it's 32, because she just won her seat just like last year or the year before. So she got 6 years, maybe to 31, 32, something like that. So she's got that seat pretty well set for her. She didn't have to run for anything. She was going to be fine until she was 71, 72 years old.
I always
She's
like her.
going, yeah, she's solid. She's a decent human being, but she's going to win the governorship. And that's going to leave the Senate seat wide open.
Yeah.
So you know what they do there?
She appoints the.
She gets to appoint her successor. And who could it be? Now, if she really wants to cause a stir,
I agree.
she'd appoint Tim Walz.
Oh, I was thinking Franklin. Bring Franklin back.
Oh, that would be good too. But he's getting older too. He's older than she is.
Yeah, Tim Walz.
Frank,
I just don't know if Tim Walz got it in him anymore. I think he's defeated. I mean, when you lose an election like that and all the shit that's gone now, he may be just checking out. He just, I
yeah,
mean, it's like you dedicate your life, and some of the shit I've heard about him, it's like, fuck, I mean, I don't believe it, but it's just like, you kind of get to that point to where it's like, well, you know what? I gave him my thing, and you don't want to want me. Fuck you.
yeah.
public's yeah. Tim Walz is a good man. I mean, I don't know him real well, but to me, he seems like a good man. And when you go out there and you run against, I mean, it's got to be disheartening, when you run out there and you run against somebody like Trump and he
Yeah.
fucks, man. I mean, it,
Well, you not only run against somebody like Trump and JD Vance, but then you have the Democratic Party holding you back, not allowing you to be yourself. They did the same thing to Kamala. If they'd say just run your race, be your own person, it would have probably been better. Because honestly, Tim Walz could hang with JD Vance in a debate, no problem, as long as they don't put restrictions on him. Tim Walz thing about Tim Walz is he's just a guy. He's not an elite politician. He cares about the only things. And frankly, at his age, he's a bit younger than I am. Uh, he'd be probably just happy retiring, working on his international truck, classic truck, going fishing and just hanging out. He'd be a great guy to have on one of the TV channels too. I mean, I would be happy to have Tim Walz come on the podcast once a week. Can't pay him, but he's welcome to come on. I think
Yeah.
Tim probably, she could appoint Walz, and the only reason I'd like that is because it would make fucking Republicans' heads explode. Can you imagine if in 2027 Jasmine Crockett and Tim Walz were in the Senate? Fuck, they'd go nuts.
Yeah, and you talk about the Democrats not letting them be themselves. I noticed that like when he said some stuff on the campaign and they were like, "Oh no, you can't be that way." It's like, when you saw his kid out there, just, that's my dad. I mean, my God. And fucking MAGA was making fun of that. I mean, how cruel are you? And then we see, what went happen this week. I mean, it's just, these people that claim to be these Christians are just, I don't know. I saw your boy Bill O'Reilly talking about how
What a joke he is.
Trump should go after Walz and I guess the governor or the mayor that told him to fuck off or get the fuck out or whatever. And I was like, dude, you paid somebody 30 plus $1 million to settle. You realize how deprived that is? I mean, I'd take $1 million to go away myself.
Yeah.
And a lot less than that, probably. $30 million. And it's when these Republicans say this shit, and you realize is wasn't he the same guy that said Michelle Obama was going to be the candidate? They're going to get rid of Joe Biden. They're going to bring him in. These Republicans, it's like Trump now saying the shit about the elections. I'm going to do a executive order and stuff like that. Dude, we realize it's still in February, right? I mean, we're still in February. November, in a lot of ways is a long way off. In a lot of ways is pretty damn close. And if you're in Congress, it's pretty damn close because they're off half the fucking year.
Yeah.
So,
And Donnie's not looking that good. So the idea of him being around in November is a little
you know,
optimistic, I think.
see him stutter there when he couldn't say.
He slurred it. I mean, he was going,
If that was Joe Biden.
oh
And
yeah,
I am
they'd be all over him.
so glad people are calling out Jake Tapper now. Because Jake Tapper all of a sudden wants to say, well, this and stuff, and everybody were like, well, Jake Tapper, and it's like, I want to say this to Nancy Pelosi. I want to say this to freaking Jake Tapper, George Clooney, whoever did this stuff. Biden had one bad debate. Was he too old? A lot of us are fucking too old. But it's a lot better than we got going fucking now, and the polls show it. But horse is kind of out the fucking barn.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's already done, and it's going to. I think Republicans are finally getting to the point where they're realizing the imminent doom of 2026. I'm surprised it's taken this long. We had this guy from Florida decide he was going to resign and resign early. Um,
Mike
can you
Johnson
imagine?
begging him to
No,
stay.
not Mike Johnson. This was
No,
one of the reps.
he's begging him not to leave.
Well, yeah, well, this guy's had it, and I think he wants to stick it to the Republicans. So he's going to announce when he's going to leave, and it's going to be before the election, and it's going to bring it to the point where the Republicans can only lose one vote. But you know who the strongest, most negotiating motherfucker is going to be? The next guy that wants to resign early.
Yeah. You know what the
This fucker will get a home in Key West and whatever, just not to leave.
fucking Hakeem Jeffries ought to do? He ought to go to Massey and say, hey, you come over to our side, change your party affiliation, and I'll give you fucking, total oversight control. Let Massey run that motherfucker as a Democrat. Give
That would be a
that would be, I don't know if it can be done. We'd have to, probably ask Eric, but that would be great because Massey ain't fucking backing down. Yeah, he voted for the Save Act, which he's still a fucking Republican deep down inside.
Yeah.
But the Save Act, I've read about it, and what the Republicans are doing now, they're acting like this is passed already. Because Susan Collins was the 50th Republican to sign on to it. And I don't know who he was, but he was some guy. Well, we got 50 votes now. It's going to pass, and we all we need is JD Vance to you do the
No, no, I
tiebreaker.
think they need 60 votes. I think
I,
they need 60
I
votes.
I know that, and you know that, but that's getting out there, and people are freaking out because they're here because people they pay attention, but they pay attention in spurts. Like
Yeah.
it passed the House, we got the House, we got that. They're gonna need, and they have 53 senators on their side, and we have like a 47. So they got 54 votes already because Furman is
Right.
going what's the name from Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania is going to vote with them. But they still need 60, and people are freaking out about this. And it's like, why do you think Trump's fucking saying, well, if it passes or not, we're going to do this? Because he knows it's not going to fucking pass. And
Right.
they're saying, and I keep telling about the fucking filibuster. The Republicans are not even close on the filibuster. Thune has said that they're not on the filibuster because if they're to do the filibuster, it's fucking on. It's fucking on. And I think the Republicans, there's also been talk about somebody stepping down for Supreme Court. So I hope they're just cocky enough to think that they're going to keep the Senate. Or if the Democrats don't keep the Senate or don't win the Senate, at least get a few more seats to where make it close.
Well, yeah, there's some talk that Alito is hinting or inkling at the idea of retiring probably before the uh, the midterms, sometime in the next 9 months or so, because after the fact, if the Democrats or when the Democrats get control of the House and even the Senate, they can pretty much jam up any candidate they have. Do what Mitch McConnell did, and
Yeah.
don't let them fucking put anybody in.
They don't
So
have power to do that though. They're not in control of they're not in, oh yeah, I get you. If they win the Senate, yeah, I get you what you're saying. But now they can't do it, obviously.
no, that's why he would do it prior to the midterms. But I wonder if Alito thinks he's safe if he just retires and walks off into the sunset. Because frankly, Alito and Clarence Thomas both have lost or committed a lot of crimes. And once they're no longer a Supreme Court justice, I would think they're fair game for investigations and possible prosecution when the Democrats get in.
I don't know. There's so much shit going on right now. They may skate off it. I'm not saying it's right, but there's so much shit they got to clean up. I mean, are they gonna want to spend political capital going after? We're talking, going after an ex-Supreme Court justice. I mean, they may want to just face, maybe he thinks that if, they're gonna win, he can escape now and, be an afterthought. Who knows how these fuckers think? I mean, that's what I would think if I was a crook. It's like, well, they're not gonna worry about me. But then
If
again,
I
I
was
like so much, I might just stay.
if I was Alito and Clarence Thomas, I would wait till the Democrats get the power, and I'd cut a deal with them. I'd say, look,
Good idea.
I'll retire. You just let me walk away free and clear. Don't come after me. No investigations. Give me immunity or whatever. I'll walk away. That would be the smart move because why do you care about the party when you're 100 years old anyway? But they're always playing this game, trying to own the libtards. Alito will probably talk about leaving before the midterms. Clarence Thomas is just as old or older than he is. He should, but that's such an arrogant, stupid motherfucker. He'll sit there until he croaks in the chair.
Well, I mean, there's a history of that of people dying. I mean, Ginsburg should have retired, when before she got sick. We had both houses in Obama. So who knows? I mean, and you kind of think about it, it's kind of a power trip. You're nobody can really touch you. You're the last. I mean, it's got to be a power trip. You think being president is the Supreme Court has more power than the president. And
Yeah, it is kind of an ego thing, but you think when you get in your 75 and 80 years old, you just want to fucking relax for a couple of years before you die. I
hell,
mean,
I'm like
there,
that in my 50s.
well, yeah, exactly. And I tell people now, I tell young people this, I said, everybody wants to be rich, have the big house and all this stuff. But I will tell you right now, I'm fine for money. I'm not rich. I have a condo. I have a car. What I am is what everybody should be striving for is
Content.
content. If you can be content, that's the most rewarding thing there is because there is no pressure, no stress. If you're constantly chasing something that you may or may not ever give, it's a lot of disappointment to deal with. There are people making a lot of money doing TikToks and podcasts and stuff like that. And people say, don't you wish you were doing it? No, I don't really care. If I can get up every morning, be comfortable and calm and do all the stuff, go out to dinner with my wife when I want to, travel when I want to, I'm good. I'm content. I got enough. That's the problem. Most people don't ever have enough. They always want to have more. And that's why the oligarchs keep ultimately killing themselves by their greed because they're going to kill the fatted calf, which is the middle class.
Well, that's the thing about Trump is like I never understood. I mean, why in that first time he did this? I mean, why would you want to do that? But you have people, look at the freaking people, look at Mitch McConnell. He was just in the hospital. I mean, he could be on his last legs, but he's going to this because I mean, somebody like that's just, he has no soul. So we get that. But I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think the rich, obviously you read some of the Epstein files, the rich, they obviously don't think like we do. I mean, I
No.
don't see much proof about that, but about how
Oh, yeah,
getting
yeah. Yeah, you
getting
have. You've seen the Epstein files. You see how they think.
yeah, but getting off on, stuff films. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I kind of grimace when I used to like UFC and boxing and stuff like that. But I remember when I was a little kid, I watched Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Like he's a boxer. He killed this guy on TV. I mean, not on
Yeah.
purpose, but and then UFC was kind of good. But I get older, I get less enthralled with violence. I mean, action movies aren't my thing anymore because I've gotten older. But I mean, they don't really look at us the same way as we look at each other. I mean, they, and it's funny is because all these people making 30, $40,000 a year, you know, are more upset about a billionaire getting his tax breaks than they are about people getting health care. It's fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. We brought up Mitch McConnell. He was in the hospital for flu symptoms, having the flu or something. Have you heard any announcement of him getting out?
I think he got out. I think he,
Did I haven't heard that.
no, I think he got released.
I'm gonna
I
check
thought
it. I
I
hadn't
should,
heard anything. Well, he could have gotten released to die at home too, because this guy's got to be on his last legs. He didn't look good. Um, let's see here.
Mitch McConnell discharged from hospital. 83-year-old.
Okay.
He is feeling better and
Oh,
working from home for this week and the advice of his doctors.
yeah,
See,
it
that's
says he was
another,
released on the 11th, so that was 2-3 days ago.
and
He'd
see,
been
that's
in there
another,
for 8 days for the fucking flu.
and see, that's another thing that freaking thing won't pass either is because as long as Mitch McConnell's there, they're not going to fucking touch the filibuster. So, you can talk about the SAVE Act and everything. I know they don't have Democrats, but that's another the filibuster and Mitch McConnell on the way because even Thune said it's not going to happen. So quit freaking the fuck out. Trump can write all the executive orders he wants to. He can write an executive order that I'm gonna fucking grow my hair back. I don't mean it's gonna fucking happen. Chill,
Here,
Democrats. Chill and
I
vote.
got I got a little take on the whole filibuster thing. Yeah, I agree. They're not going to get rid of the filibuster for the very reason of what I'm going to say here. I hope they do quit the filibuster. I think the filibuster is a bad thing anyway because it stops from any decisions being made. But go ahead, take away the filibuster, have your fun for the next 9 months, and then on January 6th or 3rd of next year, watch the Democrats go fucking hog wild. We'll have everything we want. And we might even be able to get it to a point where Donald Trump can't veto it or he'll be dead or whatever. But I think the filibuster should be gone. People are always nervous when the other party has it. But keep in mind, it's only 9 months and these fuckers can't pass anything So
Well,
go ahead.
why is it do we have it in the Senate but not the House? Majority rules in the House, even
Yeah,
if,
I don't know. It's just a rule they came up with.
but it's like it what it's doing is it's hampering the will of the people because like it or not, the Republicans won the Senate. So if most of them vote for it, it should pass. I've
Yeah,
never gotten it. But then again, um, you have people like who was the guy Manchin from West Virginia. You know,
yeah.
you people it creates people and that cinema girl who was did you hear about the story that she was banging her freaking one of her Secret Service guy or one of her guards or whatever. I always heard
Yeah.
she was lesbian.
I heard she was bisexual. I remember when she came into Congress and she was in the Senate, she was dressed like Marilyn Monroe or something. I go, who the fuck is that? And then we heard a lot about her and she was weird and she was, presumed to be liberal, but apparently somebody got to her with money and she leaned the other way. I just want to say something about Mitch McConnell. Now, if Mitch McConnell dies, from my mouth to God's ears, if Mitch McConnell dies, they're going to be put in a situation in Kentucky. Now, the Constitution in Kentucky says the governor names the the senator to replace Mitch McConnell. And Andy Bashir is the governor, so he's a Democrat. So theoretically, he would put a Democrat in that position. Now, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in Kentucky thought we're thinking ahead. They saw Mitch was slipping a bit. So they passed a law that said the legislature had to pick three candidates, and then the governor would have to pick one of those candidates. Presumably, they'd be Republicans. So he'd be able to pick the best or the worst out of the three. However, Andy Bashir has a take on this too. They think they gamed the system. The legislature passed this law. Andy Bashir says, I don't give a fuck about that law. I'm going with the Constitution. And the Constitution says this, and that's what I'm going to do. And he will probably do that. Then they'll fucking have to try to sue, and it'll either sit empty or Bashir's candidate will be in there for a period of time and it'll be a fucking mess. So I'm looking forward to Mitch McConnell dying. Whether Andy Bashir will actually be able to um, seat a Democrat, he isn't going to give in to the Republicans on some law that contradicts the Constitution. So there's a legitimate legal fight there. And if there's a legal fight, it's just going to be a mess anyway. And there's going to be an election for that seat in 26 coming up. So even if he doesn't die, there is an election coming up in this next midterms. So it's going to be interesting to see, without Mitch McConnell in there, without the name recognition, if a Republican can still win that seat in Kansas City or Kentucky.
So I assume that that was done before he was governor, so he wouldn't have signed the bill. So it had to be a former Republican voter, or Republican governor that signed it. Yeah,
Well, I think he was governor when they did it. I don't know if he signed it or whatever he did, but
I just looked up there, and they say that that's the procedure. They got to pick the three names, like you said. But I would think that if they did a law, he'd veto it, wouldn't he? If it was
you
him.
would think so, unless it was veto proof because of a supermajority or something, which is conceivable in a state like Kentucky. That's possible.
Well, he can. I mean, I think he ought to do it because all they can do is sue. I mean, that's all they can
Yeah,
do. It'll just hold that seat up. That's all they'll do.
just pull a Trump, delay it.
Yeah. And if, I don't even know who's running. I don't even know who's running for that seat. If there's a candidate, I know that Lindsey Graham was a little bit of trouble because he said he was running out of money, but he does it every time he's running for.
He's always whining.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Mitch McConnell, I mean, it's like, you say what you want to about the guy, but that's the kind of, the way he games the system is kind of what Democrats kind of need. Not breaking the law or nothing like that, but just savvy what's going on. And I think when, the Republicans lose him and lost him, I don't think they're quite as vicious as they were with him being gone, because I don't think Thune has been as effective as McConnell. You say what you want to about McConnell. McConnell was very effective for that side. And
Yeah.
because if he just would have, and he blames, Trump for a lot of shit, but if it was up to him, I mean, he could have, we could have been done with Trump before had he been impeached or whatever. But,
Yeah.
it all comes down to power. And, McConnell, that they want to say that, yeah, well, this isn't really the place to do it. Let the courts of law to do it. And when the courts of law do it, I mean, you have all these people that are Trump's trying to prosecute his enemies, and it's like it's not working, because there were supposedly, with those I guess it was the guy from, was it New Mexico? Who was it? The guy that the guy from the airport, Gabby Gifford's husband. Um,
Yeah. Mark.
I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, but they said not a single what's it called, grand jury, they could get one person to vote guilty.
Right.
It's pretty easy to get a grand jury conviction. So when you've lost a grand jury and that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, this stuff with Don Lemon, like you said, it's made him, I mean, he's going after his enemies, and he's not even quiet about it. I
No.
also read somewhere that, the Clintons are testifying, and I think the Republicans were open to him testify, Bill and, Hillary testifying in public. But I think Trump put a kibosh on that, because I guess Bill Clinton may know a few things. He's been around the block a few times. And Bill Clinton is a lot more cognitive than Trump is. Trump has probably forgot a lot of shit they may have done together.
Yeah.
And when I see Hillary brought up there, all that is red meat for the base. That woman should not even be up there. And it's just, they
I,
can use
I,
mouth
I, t-
breathing.
I tell you what, though, I'm glad she's up there
Oh, I do
because
too.
that was a mistake because she's smart. She's more vicious than Bill Clinton,
Oh
and she
yeah.
hates Donald Trump.
Oh
And
yeah.
this whole thing is going to be everything's going to circle back to Donald Trump. They didn't willingly agree to come on and testify unless unless they had a plan.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
Bill's got nothing to lose at this point. He may or may not have been involved in shit, probably was, but I guarantee you, Hillary wasn't. She may be on the list,
Yeah.
but there's nothing on there that we've seen that refers to her in any kind of misadventure. But I think she relishes in the fact. I mean, she basically said, "All right, come on, let's fucking fight. Let's go." And that should scare the Republicans at this point because she sat and testified for Benghazi for 11 fucking hours and tore their shit up. And I'm excited that she's the first one to come up because I have a feeling once they have her up and she does the damage she's going to do, they're going to say, Bill, you don't need to come. You don't need to come. Bill's just going to clean up.
But I'm just pissed it's not live. It's not public. It's not going to be behind closed doors. This transparent administration that we got going on here. But the thing about the Republicans is you can't shame them. There's no shame in them, and you say that they're going to get embarrassed. I mean, they get embarrassed all the time. I mean, they don't have no shame. I mean, Pam Bondi was up there. I mean, it's like she wouldn't even look at the victims, and what have we heard all this time? What have we heard about Hillary and fucking Pizzagate? We've heard
Yeah.
about children. It's about the children. And, it's not about the children. It's about protecting the people. And Trump may not be one of the predators, but he's sure helping cover that up. Even take
Uh,
out of there that he didn't do it. He's still covering it up. So he's still guilty of a crime. So that should be enough for MAGA, because they want to expose everybody covering it up.
well, the idea that Donald Trump isn't a predator and wasn't involved. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you see it in the files that we've seen. He was certainly a predator. I don't think it's a question of whether he was a predator. I think the question at this point now is if he wasn't a partner in the business, because it was a business. And Donald Trump isn't one to say, oh, I don't need any money when he sees a lot of money. He's going to want his taste. Um, but this is typical of Donald Trump, though. You know, he asks for things to try to intimidate people. When he doesn't intimidate them, he has to follow through, and then he gets his ass burned. I mean, you were talking about him going after Mark Kelly or whoever else he's going after. He tried to indict Letitia James 3 fucking times, and he failed. He tried to prosecute James Comey. He failed. The fucker just keeps failing. And somebody made a point. They said, look, the punishment is the process, not the end result. And that's true because he is a bully and he thinks, oh, I'm going to prosecute you and you're going to back down and then I win. That's how he always wins. But he's running into a lot of people that aren't backing down. Don Lemon went into court today and said not guilty. So now they're going to have to go on trial to prove that he did whatever they said he did. Video clearly shows he didn't do anything. He went in and cover a news story. He's got the First Amendment and he never touched anybody. He never said anything negative to anybody. He was just asking questions. He was doing what a journalist does. If they end up going into trial in this thing, which they might not, because Donald Trump would back out of this, probably not. But if they go into trial, it's going to be yet another embarrassment for Donald Trump. No way they convict Don Lemon because he didn't do anything.
If you had a law firm that kept bringing out, frivolous lawsuits against people, I mean, they would be disbarred. Do we not have anything that can freaking control the DOJ besides the Supreme Court, evidently, or the president? I mean, it's like if you bring all these frivolous law, and they talk about these frivolous law, they're ambulance chasers. That's exactly what they are. They're ambulance chasers against their enemies. But it's just, when the Democrats do win, they need to put some freaking guardrails up that this doesn't go to the Supreme Court, and they need to do something about freaking judge shopping. Both sides do the judge shopping. And it's like you need to have a fucking, when a judge makes a decision, that's got to be fucking it. You can't go and like fucking, appeal it, like there. I mean, I don't know if that's legal or not, but that's just how I look at it. It's because you go to this judge, well, let's try this judge. I mean, they know what they're doing. This is why lawyers make a lot of money. But there's got to be some kind of reform to where when a judge says something, it means something.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
it's got, and yeah, you're right to your appeal, but to appeal it all the time, I mean, Trump's gamed the system, and we need to learn something from Trump of what he's done to do this stuff. And I think a lot of people are seeing what he's done, and he backs down. He does a lawsuit, but evidently it gets thrown out because they probably don't respond to discovery. So people are seeing this shit, before the internet and all this stuff. Like he could do that stuff. I mean, this is the same
Yeah.
guy that would, call newspapers and talk about how great him he was. I mean, you lift that now, it's like, well, that's pretty smart. But when you do something like there, you're like your own publicist, people get wise. And that's why it just freaks it just I don't understand is why people are still afraid of this guy and
You
still have
know, Abby, you know who Don Lemon's lawyer is? Abby Lowell, who's one of the preeminent defense attorneys in all of New York City.
wasn't
He's
he
had,
on their case?
he was with Comey. I think he represented Comey. But this guy has represented people like John Edwards, Jim Wright, Dan Rostenkowski, Charles Keating, Gary Condit, former Nevada Governor Jim Gibbons, Joseph McDade, lobbyist Jack Abramoff. He even represented Bob Menendez. He lost that one, but he is a pretty serious lawyer. Don Lemon has him. He's probably doing it pro bono because it's so high profile. But he's going to walk in there, and what do we know about Donald Trump's prosecutors? First off, a ton of them are fucking quitting. We don't even know if he has enough prosecutors, but the people he's sending into court are just goofs. Fucking goofs. The assistant attorney general is a fucking goof.
But that's what I'm
There,
saying. It's like, I mean, where is the freaking, it's making your profession look stupid.
yeah,
It reinforces all the shit they say about lawyers, and it's funny when you watch, I don't know if you ever saw that movie back in the day. It was with Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino.
devil's advocate, devil's
Right.
advocate. Yeah,
He was defending that guy that he knew was guilty. I mean, the guy was like rubbing the table when the girl, it was fucked up she was testifying. I mean, it's like, and these people go in there with Trump and they know he's guilty. It's like, it would be like, it would be like you representing me,
yeah,
saying that, I'm the best hair club for client member there is, because I obviously wear it all the time. We'd
yeah.
fucking lose. It ain't gonna fucking happen. You know, Mullets or us ain't gonna be in our future. And
No,
it's like they know he's guilty, and it's just like I mean, the law, you don't have the law, you don't have order. I mean, you have anarchy. And it's a fucking joke that, me or you, we'd go to prison for half the shit they do. But, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like Trump, and I think that's why a lot of people do like Trump. Well, he games the system. He beats the man. And sadly,
not lately.
a lot of people don't know any better
Yeah,
because, they're working two or three jobs because, the economy's so great from day one.
yeah, absolutely. You were talking about Pam Bondi, the Jeffrey Epstein files. This this presentation, this testimony that she gave was an absolute embarrassment. She didn't answer one question. She didn't show any empathy to the women, and she flat out committed perjury because she said, "Yeah, we welcome them in. We'll talk to them. We want to talk to them." Then they asked the survivors, "Has that ever happened?" They said, "No." Do you feel like they're avoiding you or dismissing you or ignoring you? They all said, "Yeah." So she was proved to be committing perjury in front of Congress that day, and she'd been doing it for some time in the media. Um, but like you say, there is no shame, and she's fallen into the same trap that every other lawyer does. They like the money, they like the prestige of working for Donald Trump. They know the law; they're not stupid people,
No, they have
but
to.
they're willing to take Donald Trump's lead, embarrass themselves, put their livelihood at risk just to please Donald Trump. And that is the fatal flaw. Ultimately, you can't do that and continue to do your work as a lawyer after Donald Trump is no more.
Maybe they should talk to John Bolton. Maybe they
Yeah.
should talk to some of the people that that you were him, because that's what gets me about it too, is like, why these people that, oh, obviously she passed the bar, so she obviously got some sense about her, because I know some smart people that couldn't pass it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you may have not, they say book smarts but no common sense, and these people literally ruined their freaking lives and reputations for this guy.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he will sacrifice her when it comes to, as you say, nut cutting time. When the House and Senate are gone and they're going after that DOJ, Trump will say, I never knew her. I mean, he would do that to his own kids. But she's stupid enough to do that, and she's stupid enough to believe him, and because she thinks she can play that game. And I'm telling you right now, he's not going to fire her because he couldn't get another attorney general through the Senate right now. There would no way he could get that. He's that the Republicans would not back a attorney general. He's that toxic, and I they may not see it a lot, but there's a lot of talk about them. They're not going to let him get an attorney general another through, and that's why he's going to keep her.
Well, the other reason why he's going to keep her is in spite of the fact that Democrats and Republicans alike think she should be fired. Um, she's actually doing the job he asked her to do.
Yeah.
Cover it up.
Yep.
We don't care about the other shit. Just cover up the Epstein files. And she's done not a great job with it because there's a lot of information out there, and it's disgusting to read and hear about these things that are um, in these files. What troubles me more than anything is all the things that QAnon said and I scoffed at
Yeah.
are kind of showing up in these files as if it really happened. I mean, these are emails, these are complaints. Uh, we understood that the Epstein thing was about sexual abuse of young girls. We now see it was way more than that. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
were saying, we're talking about torture. We are talking about sexual assault. We are talking about murder. And it's just crazy to even imagine that there is a cabal of people that are actually doing that, not unlike what QAnon was warning everybody about. I hate to fucking say it, but it's weird.
Yeah, but the thing with QAnon, because I've had a little bit of experience with them, they blame the wrong people. I mean,
Well, yeah, obviously.
they think Tom Hanks is one of the grand marshals of this stuff, but not Trump. I have some family that they would talk about Q, and I'm like, what do you mean? I kind of just got away from it because I quit living in conspiracies a long time ago. I liked a good conspiracy when I listened to Art Bell back in the day, oh, Area 51.
Yeah,
But I'm telling you, how they lost me is fucking Pizzagate.
yeah,
And then they lost me with, and I would joke around about Hillary and Vince Foster, and like, yeah, I don't know if I ever believed it or not. But her going and doing the Benghazi thing, talking about it, and I watched some of that, and I'm like, shit, I'd like to have her as my. Isn't she a lawyer? She'd be my fucking lawyer anytime.
yeah. She's a lawyer. She's a
Hillary
lawyer. That's why.
calls the entire Congress,
Well,
and
that's why when she sits down with the oversight committee, she's smarter than all those motherfuckers.
but Pizzagate, really? That she owns a pizza, and people tell me that's fucking true.
Well,
And
here's the thing about it is they named a pizza. I can't remember the name of the pizza parlor, but they named this pizza parlor and said all this sexual stuff was going on in the basement. They don't have a basement.
like the Alamo. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
that's where Pee Wee's bike's at, the fucking basement of the Alamo. But they have, it's like they have grains of sanity, and it's like they have a speckle of truth and a hurricane of lies.
yeah.
It's like there was a thing, and I'm not fucking with you here. There was something about where JFK was killed here in Texas, Dallas.
Right.
They actually believe that JFK Jr. was going to come back. And
They still believe that?
yeah, but this was a few years ago. There was a meeting down here that did it, and I'm going, these are the people that fucking run the state. They believe in horse tranquilizers. I mean, Paxton. But they did that. They met there, and I'm like, what are they doing? And I think, I don't know, it was a few years ago. I think Biden was still president, but it was something. And I'm like, well, A, he's dead. B, he was a Democrat. And it's like
He wasn't in politics.
he was, well, yeah, but see, Trump doesn't discourage this. He doesn't encourage it, but he doesn't discourage it, so it's encouraging it. He's fine with that. And then, and you have somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who people are like, oh, she came out and everything. I saw her the other night on Bill Maher. She was there with Joe Scarborough. She's still a little bit batty because
Oh yeah.
Joe Scarborough was like, oh, I like Don Lemon. Don Lemon's, and then Bill Maher was like, oh, I like Don Lemon too. And oh, I don't. And she was still doing that lie that he was in there to interrupt. Well, you can't do that in a house of God. I mean, it's like, you know, he wasn't in there to freaking do the house of God. You're taking that out of context. That's what Trump told you. I mean, at least he
Well,
wasn't out there holding the Bible upside down.
yeah, and I was talking to religious folk that said that to me. Well, he went into a church, and that's not right. Even my wife said it's not right. He goes into a church. I said, no, wait a minute. A church run by upper level member of ICE is that really a true church, or is that a bunch of hypocrites? I don't know. It's here in Minnesota. I don't know anything about the church.
But
But
the
I
same,
asked this religious person, I said, look, you don't like Don Lemon coming in with a recorder or camera in your church, which is open to the public. You don't like him coming into that church, but you sign on to ICE agents kicking in the doors of citizens of this country, kidnapping children, killing people on the streets, and dragging old men into the fucking sub-zero temperatures. You're okay with that. You support that. And you want to get mad at Don Lemon for going into this church? First of all, you're not going to do anything to him because he didn't do anything illegal. Secondly, you're the worst of the worst. If you're okay with kidnapping 5-year-old children and put them in detention camps, but don't go into a church with a fucking camera, sorry, I don't get it. And I know I don't like you now because you're stupid.
well, also, I mean, these are the same people. Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't want you going to the church, but they're finally going to the Capitol
Yeah.
and doing that stuff, making Ashley Babbitt a martyr. And it's like the Republicans always say, well, you just should have complied. Well, so Ashley Babbitt should have just complied.
Yeah,
Oh.
absolutely. I mean, if they're worried about if you can shoot a domestic terrorist, then you have to agree that Ashley Babbitt got what she deserved.
And another thing that really pissed me off about it, and this should scare the fucking living shit out of anybody in this country, and especially the gun owners.
Yeah.
You just got to sit there and watch what they did to the freaking victims. They exposed their names.
Yeah.
And Massey pointed that out. He's saying, I know you exposed, I mean, it was Massey. I know you exposed, I know you redid this because you redacted this one name, but the rest you put out there. And that was that guy, that rich guy or whatever they blocked out, but the rest of them or something like that. And he caught her doing that. But they released those names to get those people doxxed and get them harassed.
Right. They were looking to put pressure on them and
That
intimidate
should
them.
be a red flag to all these freaking don't tread on me, bullshit. That's exactly what you thought Biden and Obama would do. But no, your orange messiah does it. You're fine with it.
Yeah. I think, don't you think, when they did that, the cow was out of the barn. There's no putting that toothpaste back into the tube. And they did it to intimidate these women. Unfortunately for them, I don't think these women have been through so much shit. They're tired of it. They're not intimidated anymore. And they're going to fight till the fucking end. And I respect them for that. But don't you think with what's now coming out of the Epstein files, what little we have, and how it's just continuing to gain momentum. Don't you think the whole Epstein thing is too far gone for the Republicans to save themselves at this point? It may take a little time, but it's ultimately going to blow up in their face, including Donald Trump.
It kind of settled down there for a while, but it's back and going. And it's like no matter what he does to do it, I mean, it's not working.
No,
Did you see did you see what Massey tweeted? He tweeted,
no.
I am not suicidal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he tweeted, I don't know if that was a joke or whatever, but there was something that he said, I am not suicidal. So I mean, there's a lot of people like, people saying that, Savannah Guthrie, went after
Well,
Thomas Nash.
she interviewed Savannah Guthrie interviewed a bunch of survivors, and I don't know if that whole thing with Savannah Guthrie. I haven't talked too much about it because it's out of my realm. It's not really political yet that I know of. But that whole fucking thing is just weird. It makes no sense.
Well, according to Trump, the drug dealers got involved, the cartels or something. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
what was 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie doing drugs and she owed somebody money? Come on.
well, that girl you talk about those Epstein victims, the that one girl that was in the picture with that she was in with Prince Philip or whatever, that one that wrote that
Yeah,
book.
Virginia Gifford.
her brother doesn't think she died or killed herself. She said there's no reason she would have done that. So I mean, I mean, we see that in the Epstein files how, and I don't, and I hate believing in conspiracy theories. We're just talking about how QAnon get, but I mean, why did Massey? I mean, I saw it on, Threads, and it said he just tweeted this. I don't know if it was real or not. It could have been, but if a senator was he a congressman? He's a congressman. He's a
He's
white.
a rep, yeah.
If he is saying that, then I mean, he's made a lot of bad enemies. I mean, and it's, we've already seen that, I don't know, man. I just, all these, don't tread on me people are just very quiet. And this is the time that, you need to like, when they try to take your guns away, I guess that's what's gonna wake them up,
Well,
you know.
Massey is a unusual situation. He is a Republican, and he's been one of the top people fighting against Donald Trump.
The only,
And we know that anybody goes against Donald Trump gets all kinds of death threats. And maybe he's gotten enough now where he may be taking it seriously. I don't think that's a joke when he says that. I don't think he'd make fun of that because he is enemy number one for the Republican Party and Donald Trump. And as much as, we don't like to talk about conspiracy theories, a lot of people end up dead. Isn't that weird? Jeffrey Epstein, Virginia Giffrey, other folks have ended up dead just at opportune times when they might have testified or might have written a book or something like that. Uh, Again, I can't say any of that is true or it's all happening that Donald Trump is having people killed. But would it surprise you if you found out he did? Not at all.
well, there's that rumor now that Epstein's alive in Israel. Have you seen that one?
I've
That they
seen
were
I've seen the pictures and I've heard a couple things. Some people swear it's Epstein, and frankly, if you put the pictures side by side, it does look like Epstein.
weird.
But then other people said it was AI, so we
But
don't
you also
know.
But you also have them coming out and saying they moved the body, I guess, or something. There was something that came out said that they moved the body with a fake body or something like that. I mean,
There was a
and
lot of weird stuff about that too.
they have that orange shadow that, funny how it's orange, right? But
Yeah,
that orange jumpsuit or whatever that's in there. I mean, his brother is like, oh, he don't think he did it. But we've heard those, I mean, people have faked their deaths before, and he had the means to do it. And what administration did it happen under?
yeah. Well, here's what I would say about the same thing I would say about Jeffrey Epstein is what I would say about Donald Trump. People have said maybe Donald Trump will get so much pressure and he'll just off himself. And it's my contention, knowing what I know about narcissists, that's the one thing you can guarantee a narcissist won't do. They will not commit suicide. And Jeffrey Epstein was just as much a narcissist, if not worse, than Donald Trump. A narcissist isn't going to kill themselves.
So
They
you're saying
just it could be well be mainly because they think they're the best people in the world. They'd be more apt to kill somebody else than they would kill themselves. I don't think Jeffrey Epstein was killed himself. There's a lot. I mean, it's just the whole thing. Again, it's just weird that you've got certain segments of the video that don't show up. They clearly edited the video before to try to fool people. And if it was on the up and up, why would you do that? Did anybody see the body after he died? I haven't seen any pictures. I haven't heard of anybody seeing the body. I don't know what happens. And frankly, if Jeffrey Epstein is dead, good. I'm glad he's dead. That's one scourge off the face of the earth. But that's what I'm saying. We always talk shit about conspiracy theories, but ever since Donald Trump's been around, some of these conspiracy theories you got to go, huh? It could be like the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. What crazy motherfucker would fake an assassination attempt? Nobody, but Donald Trump might. He's
and,
done worse shit than that.
you're hearing all this stuff coming out about Charlie Kirk's wife that she was out of his will and and it out of his will and stuff and it's the right that's attacking their own. It's the Candace Owens that's going after them. It's
Right.
not like it's Bernie Sanders, going after her. And now you're having a lot of lawsuits that are coming out too about those people that were, let go, or I let go. That's a nice way of putting it, fired for
Yeah.
saying stuff against that. So,
Well, Erica Kirk is a weird woman. There's something off about her. She almost seems, you look at her eyes and you know there's something. It's like that T-shirt they sell on TikTok now. It says undiagnosed, but something's wrong. And that's the case with her. But here's a story we know for a fact was true with her. First of all, she was connected to Donald Trump before she ever met Charlie Kirk. She was kind of tied in with the Republican Party. She spent some time in Romania working on a kids program. Kids started to disappear. And while they didn't prosecute her, they kicked her the fuck out of the country. They think she was somehow involved. Now, those are facts that are indisputable because they're documented. There's something weird about her. I mean, Charlie Kirk could pull a pretty big audience, mainly because he got money from a sugar daddy and he was doing good. Then he starts talking bad about Israel. Would it be crazy to think Israel, which she had some connections with too, put a hot girl next to Charlie and it's the best looking girl that's ever looked at him? So he marries her and she's kind of handling him. It all sounds crazy. But when you look at the Republicans and you look at the way they do things, it's conceivable. That's the problem. Most conspiracy theories go, there's no way. I can't believe in that. That could never happen. I can't say that now with the people involved.
well, Mike, thank you for having me on Coast to Coast with Art Bell. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, it's, but you watch shows like The Americans and you watch shows about, I mean, this shit goes on all the time where, somebody could be a spy, an agent, that they're with somebody, they marry somebody to do stuff. And,
Right.
and there's, I mean, if you're not, if, my thing is question everything, trust nothing, question everything. The great Richard Hutchins always said that, take question everything. And that's the way I do it because, I don't take it. I mean, yeah, I come to a point to where I have to accept, it's like, I was upset about Kamala loss, but you still have people out there, well, they're going to investigate this. It's like, we need to move on from that shit. The time is over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But but my thing is with that, if we would have turned out like we did for Biden in 2020, we wouldn't have to worry about 2024. Yeah,
Exactly.
there's a lot of shit that goes on, but, but if, Trump can try to do all the executive orders, but if we show up and make it a blue tsunami, they can't beat us. There's more of us than there are of them. And that's just, you watch stuff like in the Revolutionary War, back when America was getting formed, that's what the British didn't want us to do. They wanted us to stay in the three colonies. They didn't want us exploring America, procreating, and becoming even bigger. You had it there. I mean, you talk about this and, they can't win if we show up and voice our opinion. You know what I mean? I'm not
Right.
saying violence is the answer. It's not. But don't get intimidated by this stuff because it's like Mike has said, he's been on a losing streak lately, and he's going to continue to lose until November. And I hope that, Mike, that we do that election party, and I'm hoping that, I can, drink me some blue champagne here in Texas at least.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, we're coming to the end here. We're going to wrap things up. Jace, thanks for joining us today, bringing us up to date with Texas and your other insights. I appreciate it very much.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and for Q Talk, until next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why don't you tell folks where they can find you?
I'm on TikTok. Of course, me and this gentleman here, we do a taking a break with Gen X Jace and Boomer 2. We talk pop culture. We kind of get a break from stuff. I know some of y'all don't like taking a break, but this motherfucker over here, does a podcast every night, so we can take a fucking break. So we
Absolutely.
talk about stuff, and we'll probably do an episode tomorrow, and we'll just, and if you have any show suggestions, text Mike on his deal or leave in the comments for this one. We'd love to hear it. One of them recommended the scorpions. We talked about that, but if you got some ideas for taking a break, we'd love to hear them.
Sounds good. Um, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen. Hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.